Welcome back to the Participation Trophy Podcast. This is episode 12. I'm thrilled to be back after a 3-week hiatus where I went. I pray that none of you have to go. Back in the saddle with me again are my good friends Abdullah, Jamal, and Neil, and that other guy named Zane. Let's not waste time with the bullshit. We've got Thanksgiving, football ass whoopings, and twerk talk to get to. So first things first, who traveled the furthest for Thanksgiving? I believe that lands on you, Mr. Dalal.
That is true. Welcome back, Joe.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So I actually went and drove up to Boston few days before Thanksgiving, Saturday before Thanksgiving. Picked up my sister in Baltimore and we went up there. It was only a 6-hour drive. We had gotten tested beforehand, got the PCR test, which is supposed to be, better than the rapid test. Got there, chilled. My grandma moved in with my aunt about last summer. So
is the PCR one, is that the one that tickles your brain?
The one that'll make you cry for sure.
Yeah, that one was terrible.
Yeah.
So wait, what was the proximity of the toothpick of the Q-tip of the Q-tip?
Right.
Like,
didn't hit the bone, but
Yeah.
The first time I got tested,
I got one earlier this month, and I think it was the non-rapid one. What's it called? PCR. It just kind of just tickled the tip of your nostrils a little bit. You might get a wink or something, but that's about it. But
that other one like feels like they're like touching your eyeball with it. Like I
never want that shit.
I dreaded it for the entire what how long we had this shit since March, February. Yeah. I've dreaded that thing forever. And then she's like, "Oh no, don't worry about it. It's just your anxiety." And then she like jams up. It's like, "Fuck me, man!" Like, just like kind of tickle. Like I said, man, it feels like it fucking tickles your brain. That thing went so far up there. But I don't understand, Abdullah. You said there's one that like just
I think the one that delivers like in 5 to 7 business days.
Like, Bill, did you say it touched your inner thigh? I think they took the wrong test in prison.
That must be the one I saw on Hard Knocks, where it was real simple, and they were just kind of.
Oh, they showed that shit. I didn't even watch Hard Knocks.
Yeah, it was really just the edge of the nostrils, and that was it.
The COVID Hard Knocks got to be lit. Like, I mean, it's just got to be. It's gonna be a whole nother drama.
Hard Knocks on Hard Knocks.
Oh, yeah.
So Neil, was there any traffic like going up and back? I mean, was it light? Was it moderate?
Who was in this car with you? Wait, who was in this car with you?
Just me and my sister.
Just you and your sister.
Yeah, and we had both gotten tested before, and so it was only 6 hours. Like, we got up early. Like, we left Baltimore at like 6:45. Got there by
you at least went through the DDLJ soundtrack at least twice, right?
You act like I know what these things are.
Neil probably planned his trips around like the moon's gravitational pull.
Hey, a lot of Indian religion stuff is based on the lunar calendar. You know that.
Hey.
This man signed into Zoom with a .apl .gov .us. Like 18 subnets on the just on the email server. Like, what the fuck?
Got to try out ditching Skype for Zoom. So how
was Boston? Was that your first time in what do they call it?
No. Yeah. No, so since my grandma moved over, I've been there a few times. This is the third time I've been there this year. I've been there, I think, maybe a couple times beforehand because I did go to the Celtics game when the Wizards played them a couple seasons ago. That was fabulous.
Credentials.
Yeah, shout out them. Hey, Scott Hall, I hope you're listening. We're gonna hit you up for some credentials. But we walked by the river this time. We thought that's all we were gonna do, and then instead we kind of just hit some things up, stuff that's legal in Boston. Did that instead. So
is Boston looking like DC in terms of what's open and what's not? Is it just mainly just outdoor eatery stuff, and that's pretty much it?
Yeah, but not even that much because the weather there is already pretty cold, so it's
true.
Not even much outdoors you can even do anymore. It's also now at this point same thing in the DMV, and it sucks.
Yeah. Yep.
Boston's a wild town. I went there probably in the mid 2000s on a work trip, and I took a buddy up there with me. It was for a leasing company, so we were doing deliveries and stuff. It was way back, and we were just casually walking on the street, and he's wearing a Yankees cap. He's not a Yankees fan. He's not a baseball fan. Whatever.
Yeah.
And it got tense on the street. It got really tense. You could feel the anxiety of wearing a Yankee cap in downtown Boston.
This is peak Red Sox.
It's not even hyperbolic, like what I'm talking about. He took it off eventually, and no one said a word to him. And he just took it off, just off the tension. Like you could just, you could just
get in the back of the fucking car.
Yeah, there's a fucking taxi cab driver right here.
Fucking Derek G sucks.
Yeah.
Did you see Mark Wahlberg at all? Was he anywhere in the presence of where you were? Him and Matt Damon. Any Matt Damon sightings?
Yeah, like the corner of a brick wall, just like talking shit to a dog.
Say hi to your mother.
Say hi to your mother.
Say hi to your mother.
Oh, so funny. So Boston, 2-3 nights there?
Me?
Yeah.
I was there from
Zane.
I was there from Saturday to the Friday after Thanksgiving. So unfortunately, I hit the road on Friday with a full stomach.
Nice.
What is Zane doing now?
No, I just meant Zane in Boston. All right, so Boston is the furthest. What about everybody else? I was at home. I was at home in quarantine after a high risk contact, and so I was with my family, and we did nothing. We had dinner together.
It was wild. It was in a way it was intimate. Just to have like a small like family just get together and do their own thing, kind of help cook, but from a circumstantial standpoint, like it just kind of felt weird. It was the first time you were that far apart from so much of your family on a night that in tradition you're all together. So
yeah, we stayed in too. I didn't do anything. My mom, you feel bad for your kind of older relatives that you just can't visit. Otherwise, they wouldn't have. Yeah, that we kind of build their stuff around, family outing. So we stayed in, ordered some food, cooked the rest, did a family Zoom call. So that's kind of the closest we got to everybody kind of linking up. It was really warm on Thanksgiving though. Like I feel like I could have been on the grill that day. So
how large are your gatherings in general? Like,
my family's pretty small. So nuclear gather family is probably 10 people max. We don't have huge family gatherings. Yeah. And everybody's still local, so that's convenient. So if anything, I'm just driving up to Maryland and back. But yeah, it was chill though. It was chill.
Nice.
Watch terrible football like everybody else.
It was a great game.
It was like a combined. The combined records of all four teams was like 6 and 38.
It's the worst. The fucking worst.
Watching the games though.
Watching the Lions game just pissed me off more about the Washington loss to them.
Can we get a federal petition to take Detroit off Thanksgiving?
Amen.
Like I almost don't mind Dallas, but I'm tired of fucking seeing the Lions shit it up.
That's all they got.
That's all they got.
Ford.
Barry has some good games on Thanksgiving.
They're absolutely terrible. Zane, what'd you do on Thanksgiving?
Trip down to Woodbridge, went to my sister's house. Usually does dinner, but usually like 12, 15 people this time. Pretty small, just 6 or 7 of us. Watch some horrible football games. So I actually have a question I just thought of. What time do you guys usually have your dinner? We had it like it said 2 o'clock, but it always ends at like 3:30, 4 o'clock. But usually pretty early. I wasn't sure if anybody does it later than that.
We did around 1. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because look, you're not. Let's be real. Some people are hungover on Thanksgiving morning, like Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Now that we can't go to bars, but generally it's a heavy drinking day.
Right.
You get up, you eat a little something just to fucking gas yourself a little bit, and then you just kind of coast into Thanksgiving. So if you're serving dinner at like fucking 4 p.m. or later, you're really fucking up. That's inconsiderate. Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you, like one time my aunt hosted, and we were all expecting to eat around 2 o'clock at the latest, and dinner went stretched out to like 5:36, and the family almost fucking broke up that day. Like imagine people in a small house in separate rooms. It's daylight savings, it's dark as fuck, and people in different rooms just fucking mad as shit, man. Don't do that, yo.
That's
you got to do that shit around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock at the latest, because you it ain't. Thanksgiving dinner is kind of a misnomer because it's a Thanksgiving meal, but serve that shit as early as possible.
We're Hispanic, so there's nothing ever set in stone when it comes to time. That shit has fluctuated.
Same with the Daisies.
I swear to God, man, like ever since like going back to when I was a kid, there was nobody ever knew. It was kind of like a flip of the coin. You know, my mom would be like, "Oh no, dinner's always at 2," and I'm like, "What? Dinner's always at 2? When the hell did that change?" But you know, what happened was like as I later in life, and now that I have credentials, I've had to have my family rearrange Thanksgiving dinners, and because our families are both in the area, we do 2 Thanksgivings. So we would do my own family, and then we would do my wife's family, and then you know if there was a game. So there was a Giants game a couple years ago. There was another game. I think it might have been 2 Giants games. I don't remember, but they accommodated for me. So we had an early lunch one year. It was like 12 o'clock. And then we had another one at 3. And then I had to be at FedEx Field at like 7. I swear to, I felt like fucking Santa Claus going to that thing. It was just like lumped over and, you know.
So I was going to ask if anybody has had that dilemma of having to pre-plan to attend 2 Thanksgiving dinners, yes. Especially if like when in terms of dealing with a spouse, right? So I've had to do that for the past 4 years or 5 years where the families just do separate things and it's all good, you know. So we've had to like predetermine the timings of each dinner so we can be available for both. So one year, you know, my mom would do something at 2 p.m. knowing that we'd have to leave at like 6 to do dinner there. So
I ain't doing that shit. Fuck that.
Have you ever dealt with that? You've never dealt with that?
No, not in quite some time. But I'm the type of motherfucker. I'll just get drunk at one house and look, man, I can't make it. I can't get out of here.
Imagine me telling Miriam's mom that, like, I can't make it. I can't make it. I'm sorry. It's not happening, bro.
Shit.
No, never ever have I had these kinds of problems.
Neil. Fuck, man. Fuck.
Neil, stay single. I love you.
Yeah, stay young, man. Just try not to age, man. Just like
there you go.
Man, some of these wizards making me feel old now.
All right, well, let's Abdullah, you set this up perfectly, and here comes my first one.
The fuck did I do? Shit! I still got the same magic.
You always manage to set this up. You like tee it up like a nice little volleyball, and now I'm going in for the slam here. Let's go ahead and change the subject, but stay on the topic and jump into you eating that? All right, so let's talk about what you're eating for Thanksgiving. I need top 3 Thanksgiving favorites. Anybody? Let's the least talkative person so far today has been Zane. So let's start off with Zane.
Zane, the biggest foodie too, man.
I know. Exactly right. Yeah. That's exactly right. We know that he slammed like 60 cookies on Thanksgiving night. So let's go. Tell us what's going in that stomach, Zane.
Off the top, sweet potato casserole is definitely my favorite.
Okay.
Is that the one with the marshmallows?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, so sweet potato casserole, the way my sister does it, it's like mashed sweet potatoes. I'm not getting into the ingredients like brown sugar and all that stuff, but it's like a salty sweet thing, and you got some pecans in there that kind of cook in it, so it's like very soft. And then like mushrooms on top, and then baked, so the mushrooms are kind of melted, right?
Mushrooms?
No. What the fuck, mushrooms? Marshmallows.
Marshmallows.
What the fuck?
He's like, what? Marshmallows.
That's the Tito's. Oh, my bad. That was the Tito's. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, marshmallows. So that's my favorite thing. But the thing is, like, if I go into the rest, like, a lot of the other stuff that I like, I still have it throughout the year. Like, I love mac and cheese. I love mashed potatoes. But I eat those things all the time. Turkey is like, I'm cool with it, but I'm not in love with it.
Oh, you're going to do the turkey hate?
So
much turkey hate on Thanksgiving.
Dude, I've never heard so much turkey hate this year.
Like, it's so crazy, right? It was
so
much turkey hate.
Motherfuckers, it went from like,
what the fuck was that?
I can take it or leave it. Then motherfuckers getting real personal, like, fuck that dry ass shit, man.
No,
don't bring that motherfucking shit in my house, bro.
Yeah.
I was Mina
Kimes from ESPN, she teed that shit off. She said some real devastating shit about turkey.
And it just set the whole fucking. What the fuck did turkey do?
I love
turkey, man.
People had to take their anger out on something.
I think aesthetically, it's beautiful when it's on the table and you're about to carve the motherfucker. Taste-wise, like, it's just only because I'm having it once a year that I'm somewhat excited about it, right? I have nothing against it, but it's like chicken's poor cousin, right? To me, like
chicken's poor cousin.
I think if I had fried turkey, maybe it would feel different. I've never had fried turkey, so. But just to wrap my 3 up: sweet potato casserole. I like stuffing. I don't understand cranberry sauce. I never really got into it. Maybe I haven't had
it's
cranberry sauce, but I never understood it.
It's whack.
I'm gonna go with mac and cheese if it's got like a little twist to it.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I second mac and cheese. I had no problem with turkey, but I think mac and cheese, a good mac and cheese is a fucking staple. Like you need that. Mac and cheese is just different on Thanksgiving. I don't know about y'all. I like banana pudding, but vanilla wafers on top for dessert.
I fucking love banana pudding.
Have you ever had the one from New York? I forget what the name is called. Yeah.
Banana pudding is.
Nah.
I love banana pudding too, but is that typically like a Thanksgiving thing? I've never known it to be. Yeah, I love
it. Is like for my family, because we're not really like big pie people. So
are we talking about like banana pudding, like the vanilla wafer box? Like
so good.
The Gerber style, like
yeah, so good.
That's a Thanksgiving staple.
No. We're talking about like personal favorites, but it's a thing in our family.
Okay,
sure. Yeah.
All right. Can I go back to the mac and cheese? I have a specific question about that. Like, I'm not a aficionado for mac and cheese, but like, is there a preference for that baked top portion? Like, do you like that breadcrumb? Do you like when people get fancy with their mac and cheese, or do you just like the Velveeta with that cheesy?
Here's the thing. We can probably go down this road, but don't fuck up like regular ass food. Like, don't break food. You know what I mean? Don't put a fucking stream of raspberry topping through mac and cheese for some reason, or sprinkle like some diced almond. Don't fuck up food. All right, mac and cheese is very simple. I like mine baked a little so you get that nice chunk out of the corner. That shit that you can almost stop a door with. That's how it's supposed to be.
That light brown.
Yeah, you know how you feel me. You understand me. Like, don't put no dumb shit in it though, man. People do that with all food. Mac and cheese.
Are you good with jalapenos in them?
100%. Oh no, come on.
No.
Whatever your preference is, though.
I'm sorry.
Why?
I get it. I get
Who's
the whole.
Putting jalapenos in mac and cheese?
Me. My wife is, and it's fucking amazing.
Just for my personal preference.
Listen.
I respect.
Look,
I
get the whole unnecessary additions to certain foods.
Yeah,
get it. Certain things like jalapenos though, with cheese and macaroni, like it kind of just.
It seems like it should work. I'm not gonna knock it. I'm not. I'm just.
All I'm saying is that it's an okay addition to have.
Okay.
Like when we order pizza, I just don't like it when people order pizza with things that some people might not like.
Right.
Sure. Right. Cheese universal.
And also, you also have to understand like the dynamic of the mac and cheese itself too. It's not just one type of cheese. She blends in like 4 or 5 cream cheese. Like it's really well done. Breadcrumbs
macaroni
on top,
from the Latin macaroni.
Yeah, so like it's not just some basic ass mac and cheese. It's a really gourmet mac and cheese, and the jalapenos just kind of.
So here's the thing too.
So the worst conversation.
My counterpoint to
lactose intolerant.
My caveat to that is, if you're going to go outside the box, we know traditional ingredients for certain dishes. Don't introduce new shit like without having some sort of family buy-in. You should have prepared it for maybe a birthday party before, or people remind you, can you put that, can you do that jalapeno mac and cheese? Yeah. Don't drop some new shit on Thanksgiving and fuck it up. You know what I mean?
It's like episode 8. You just introduce a character and everyone's supposed to know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, like don't do that. Don't do that. On Thanksgiving, you cutting a turkey and it's like oranges and shit inside. Like, did anybody tell you to do that? Like, did you run that by anybody? Did you think that would sell on Thanksgiving? Don't do that. All right,
so green bean casserole green bean casserole got like raisins in them and shit. Like,
yeah.
Oh,
does anybody?
What cereals we got up in here?
Fresh apples,
raisins and potato salad too now.
Jeez, got grapes in the mashed potatoes.
Fuck, man.
It gives it a sweet taste to it.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
No. Did anybody fuck with ham? I know you.
Where my swine eaters at? Shout out to the swine eaters, man.
I went on ham on social media last week because it's really a throwaway meat. You know what I mean? Like, people don't really fuck with ham. Ham is very holiday centric, unless you're getting sliced ham from the deli at the grocery store. But beyond that, nobody really fucks with the big hunk of pink meat. Like this shit just doesn't really hit.
Watching Good Times or some shit.
By the way, I can't stand the grocery deli.
Why?
The dude behind there, like you tell him half a pound. Like 3 times while he's slicing. How many pounds again? You said 1 pound right now. I said half a pound.
Yeah.
Bro, they never
put on that scale and he's like fingering your meat to get the right weight and shit. Like that's it. I don't want it anymore. That's all right.
That really painted a picture, Jamal.
That shit 0.05 grams over. He starts sweating like shit. You good with that?
Motherfuckers are steaming up under the hairnet.
Oh shit! You want me to take half a slice off? Nah, you good,
nah,
man. I'm good with that
extra
35
man.
The guy before you who asked for a sample. Hey, let me taste that. I've never had that one before. Sitting there going through each one of those. Nah, the honey's not it. Let me try the maple one. Let me try.
Wow, this Chesapeake meat. This is delicious.
Is that old man?
Pumpkin pie. Does anybody actually still like pumpkin pie?
You know what? I used to fuck with pumpkin pie, but just the crust. The crust, like I can't just I can't do like the like the big substance part of it. Like it just tastes like fucking mush, right? It
tastes so good,
brown mush. So
I can take it or leave it. It's not
the
great.
Texture's awful, but it tastes great.
The texture's
great, but it's like every time I have a slice, I'm like,
there's certain foods I don't eat because of the texture. Like I will never eat an eggplant ever.
Oh yeah,
because of the texture. So, but pumpkin pie, and I don't like. If pumpkin pie tasted nasty, that texture would have been awful. But
I have relatives.
It's one of the foods where I can sacrifice the texture for the taste. It just tastes so good.
So maybe we need to revisit. Like we need to rethink Halloween Halloween. What the fuck? Thanksgiving staples. Like beginning next year, because some stuff is just getting carried forward because we've made it, for fucking hundreds of years. So.
For sure.
We maybe don't need a pumpkin pie. Maybe move that shit up to Halloween. Like make a Halloween pie.
We still had fake pumpkins on the dining table.
Oh shit.
Because it's a fall thing.
I know I'm going crazy on the pie.
It's autumn. That's what they told me.
Can everybody name, if they could pick one pie to have, what would it be? Neil.
Apple.
Respectful choice.
I'm gonna go with apple too. Apple with a nice scoop of ice cream.
Oh yeah, right out the oven, that apple crumble.
Warm apple with cinnamon. Okay. Warmed up with
jalapenos sprinkled
in.
No. We're reasonable people.
Origins of the pie.
What you got, Joe? Quiet, that shit on the pie talk. He said green pie.
Yeah, banana cream. No, cream. I'm gonna go with cherry.
Cherry pie.
Really? Ooh, you like that tangy shit?
I do like a little tart. I do like it a little tart. Hey, everybody, look,
it's too tarty for me. Ooh.
I like apple pie, but I like a specific there's a specific brand of Dutch apple pie that is that's my go-to. But I like cherry pie, man. It's different. It's different. Hits different.
You 40 plus. You don't got heartburn, man? What the fuck?
Bro, I get heartburn with everything, man. Everything.
But you like it that much, that tangy shit. Yeah, okay.
I just deal with it.
So I can respect that, man.
Same way I fuck with ice cream, and I have no business doing that too. But it is what it is.
I have to throw this in there because I'm the only one that doesn't. I tell everybody about it. Apple pie with cookie dough ice cream.
I'm just not a fan of cookie dough ice cream.
I love cookie dough ice cream.
I'm not either. But you have it with apple pie.
I'll eat that shit plain. I love cookie dough.
So good.
Cookie dough is so good.
Do you eat raw cookie dough?
No, I don't eat it like that. But in ice cream, it's fantastic.
Have a little bit.
You do? Yeah. You're not worried about that salmonella?
Fuck no.
No, I grew up eating cookie dough, bro. We immune to that shit now.
I guess.
Did you? It's like, nah.
Well, hopefully this Thanksgiving won't look the same as next Thanksgiving. We can get rid of all this fucking COVID bullshit. There is one thing that was different this Thanksgiving that I would like to keep the same moving forward, and that takes us into open gym and the Washington football team's ass whooping over the Dallas Cowboys.
Hell
so,
yeah.
Woohoo! NFC East talk, yes.
Let's just go ahead and we'll wrap this up quickly because I know you want to get to Ryan Fitzpatrick, Abdullah.
No, I don't.
And
no, I don't.
To his broken hand or whatever it is, but it was
4 weeks ago.
there was something weird about this football game because we won't talk about the Lions game because we already talked about that. But there was a point where it was 20 to 16, I think. And I thought that Dallas had the ball, and I was like, man, fuck, is this going to happen again? Like, is this where it turns? And everybody else is talking about how confident they were the whole game. I was not. I felt like this was going to turn into one of those fucking Washington football blunders. And I look, I'll be cliche. I thought the turning point was the Terry McLaurin rundown.
Absolutely.
I just, when you see somebody take that extra effort and it's him, I just think the entire sideline just went bananas for that. And from there, it was just kind of like, oh my God, you know, I almost fucking threw a glass through the TV when I saw the interception at first. And then I saw Terry run it down, and even I got pumped up for it. So I can't imagine how his teammates were. But yes, the NFC East sucks, but it's always fun to watch Dallas lose. Let's go. Let's talk some football, guys.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing about Washington, and I'll say this, is that Dallas isn't a great team. They're depleted, right? They got fucking Andy Dalton. They got to do right, but the Redskins are the Washington football team are owning those teams that they should
except
own.
The Giants.
That's fine. I bet you if they play the Giants now, they'll destroy the Giants because I'm talking about like Washington in its own.
Yep.
They're able to dominate these games. They're succeeding greatly against teams they should be succeeding against. How that'll
Wizards
fare?
Could never do.
What's that?
Things the Washington Wizards.
You brought the Wizards into this. Oh shit! Wow. So that in itself is a positive sign for Washington, is to be able to win these games the way they did, and have the players that we expect to shine the way they did. McLaurin, Gibson is fucking great.
That's a
right?
second.
Like these guys are great, man, and they're dominating defenses. They're dominating teams they should dominate.
That's what back-to-back third-round picks, McLaurin and Gibson, like phenomenal.
So that it's not to say that they'll be able to do this against any team, but they're doing it against teams they should be doing it against.
No, I think the real barometer is going to be, because I actually agree with you in the sense I don't get anything out of beating the Cowboys personally. I understand this is a thing for Washington football team fans, and I really don't want them to win any games. I cringe when they win. I want them to lose so they get a better draft pick. But when I was driving around today, I realized, okay, they won by how many? Was it 25 points?
Yeah.
That doesn't happen for us, right?
Yeah.
So exactly like you're saying, we don't beat teams by double digits, right? We always play that in our competition. So, but for me, the true test would be the next game, right? If we compete against a really good team, or if we play another lowly team, are we going to win by a decent amount of points, or it's going to be like come down to the last minute?
I think the real barometer for them isn't actually this coming week. I think everybody's expecting them to get kind of waxed by the Steelers. Not waxed, because Ron Rivera's teams aren't going to get blown out of a building.
Bro.
But I think the Steelers are a much better balanced team. I think the real test for them is the 49er game, to be honest, because that's one of those ones where, like, all right, well, if we're going to take you seriously about this playoff talk, and I hate talking about it because they're 4-7, for God's sake. You should be talking about playoffs at 4-7, but that's the state of the East. But I just think that that's really kind of the barometer game. Everybody expects to, if they go into Pittsburgh and win.
You don't think Chase Young wants to fucking win this game? You don't think, like, I'm just hypothetically, like,
bro,
rhetorically asking.
When they show Chase on the sideline, with his mouth moving and fucking just screaming at people.
This is a barometer game, is what I'm saying. Like,
I get what you're saying.
They want to win this fucking game. I'm just saying, like,
they have to compete. As long as
if they compete, exactly right. They don't have to win, but like, don't get blown out, obviously. But it's a barometer game in the sense of saying, like, all right, we've been able to destroy these other teams. What can we do against the Steelers?
For sure. But I think...
And that's on Monday night now?
Yeah, it'll be Monday night, and the Steelers will be coming off of a Wednesday night game that still hasn't been played yet.
Yeah, so they're probably off a little bit.
Let's talk about it, because that's kind of one of those important social issues, if you would, too, as well. this is the point of fucking ridiculousness. Okay,
it's the NFL.
You got 20 people, and first of all, the strength coach from Baltimore, his name should be plastered everywhere, because every player's name gets thrown on a list every week, and you have to see which player tested. This guy's name, he should go down in infamy for the amount of shit that he has had to cause. Think about all the travel arrangements, all the equipment stuff, like all the little trickle down details because one dickhead decided not to be truthful about what his contacts were. Like, I feel like that's not being talked about enough. And we're just kind of glossing over and talking about, the game itself, but the game's gotten moved 3 fucking times, man. And now they're playing at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock on a Wednesday.
40 on Wednesday.
Because the Rockefeller tree needs to be fucking lit on NBC. Are you serious? That's what we're doing? Anyways, that's my take on it.
Listen, but your point is exactly, but that's exactly what's happened. Yeah, what's that?
Just real quick, the glaring aspect is how the NFL is treating other teams that get into this dilemma.
Yeah,
they're not willing to cater to them, but they're willing to cater to the Ravens because they want.
You don't feel like it's case by case though? Like if you look at situations, for example, like the Broncos, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone's kind of pleading for them to postpone the game, but there's a certain protocol in place.
The QB's fucked up there.
That I think the teams are all. What's that?
I think the QB's fucked up there.
They fucked that shit up. Obviously, that's a whole different. Yeah. That's what I was gonna say.
I didn't feel bad for them at all, to be honest with you. I think there have been.
They fucked that shit up. This guy, what is his name? Driscoll or whatever the fuck it is. Jeff Driscoll. Like I literally had to Google his name.
What did he do? Is he the only guilty party, or are they all the guilty party?
No, he was the one that had COVID and decided to come into the quarterback room without wearing a mask, and so the entire.
But he didn't know he had COVID.
Are you sure about that?
Well, at least I'm basing this off of what Drew Lock's mother posted on Twitter.
I heard they were known like anti-maskers in that fucking.
So my question is though, okay, let's say it's his fault, he knew blah blah. I didn't follow the Ravens part of it, but if it's a fault of the organization to some extent, who gets punished?
Well, the strength and conditioning coach, from my understanding, like they issued this under the radar. Oh, we punished him and fined him or suspended him or something.
Didn't the team just lose a draft pick?
I'm not.
One of these teams just lost a draft pick.
That was
over COVID violations.
I thought that was Tampa Bay.
Yeah, well, somebody did, right?
Or the Saints.
Yeah, a few teams have. Yeah.
Yes, it was the Saints. I believe that. I mean, so they're punishing these teams.
COVID violations. The Ravens guy is responsible for 22 fucking positive.
Oh, I know.
Tests,
oh, yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah.
People. Yeah, and probably. So
you're asking whether or not he's going to be specifically punished. He should be. Yeah. Fuck that shit up.
Yes, and to go back to the Broncos thing, my understanding was that the other 3 quarterbacks that were in the room, they didn't wear masks, they didn't wear their tracking devices when they were around. Like, and so there becomes a point where you're just like, okay, well, they're just a bunch of dumb fucks. Like that's just stupid on your part. You kind of deserve to have this backup wide receiver play quarterback for you because you have a bunch of morons at quarterback. So I didn't really feel bad for Denver. I do feel bad for the Steelers because I think that they got fucked in this whole entire arrangement. And then earlier in the year, didn't they move shit around for Cam Newton and the Patriots too? I mean,
that's when they had bye weeks to play with and stuff. Yeah, but
I don't feel bad for the Steelers, man.
Defined protocol here.
Fuck.
In my opinion, the defined protocol is the NFL is trying to get every single game played on time and on schedule.
That's all. Steelers gonna lose by 35 to the Chiefs in the fucking second round, anyways.
Wow.
Okay, like come on. Oh.
Well, there was 2 more people in the Ravens organization today that tested positive.
Yeah, so
one of them that practiced with the team yesterday, and the NFL said, "Nah, you guys are good to go." I mean, it's just kind of at some point you're just kind of like, okay, well, I guess money talks and bullshit walks, right?
Pretty much.
It boils down to. But Abdullah, I don't know what you have against the Steelers, man, but you shit on them 5 weeks ago when I said that they were undefeated, and you're like, well, they haven't played nobody.
Haven't played anybody.
10-0. You still beat.
Conversely, remember when we called the Bears the worst 5-1 team in NFL history, and that's exactly what they end up fucking being.
Boy. They were garbage. That was such a bad game too.
Oh fuck,
that was a terrible.
So bad to watch.
Aaron Rodgers on fire again.
Zane, any good money on any of those games? Any good money lines?
No, I freaking had like a long parlay, and I had the fucking Rams in there, and that did not go well.
49ers messed up your shit.
Yeah. Anytime I try
that's a weird division
anytime I get a
too,
chance
man.
to bet against Nick Mullins, I do it, and that did not work.
As you should. But
I fucking hate that dude's
it's a weird fucking division, man.
His fucking face is just like he'll throw.
I know it's the worst.
And the way his head looks in his helmet too makes it even worse.
He's a generic Madden face, like you're in like year 2027 in your fucking franchise mode.
Yeah.
And some dude named Nick Mullins becomes like the quarterback of your franchise. It's like an auto-generated Madden name. Stony Case. Stony Case was such a fucking like generated name. Remember Stony Case?
Stony Case.
Which one was Stony Case?
He was like a backup quarterback with the Cardinals, like I don't know, 7-8 years ago.
John Beck.
He was there. John Beck.
Don't bring up the former Dolphin, John Beck.
Oh, you gonna put that?
Do you want? Well, I mean, do you want to give us an update on the Dolphins? I didn't even see what they did. Who they beat up on?
Beat the Jets.
Oh,
yeah.
Congratulations.
Beat the Jets
in the playoff picture.
Adam Gase can just.
Did you let Abed off the hook for having to wear like jerseys? Dude, that guy's got it bad enough.
He's from Brooklyn, man. He's got this real Brooklyn loyalty gene in him. Like, like I'm gonna fucking do this shit for the rest of my life.
Dude.
You haven't been on Facebook in months, but you know what? Here's a screenshot. I changed my profile picture.
Every time it comes up in my feed, I start laughing and I go to react to the picture. I'm like, I reacted to that 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
I appreciate y'all keep it going though.
It's a fun little exchange. But he's like on 8. He's on 8 defaults in a row.
Yeah.
Shout out to Abed Rahman. He's got one on the way too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam Gase is like the Sam's Cola of NFL coaches, man. He is the absolute worst.
Did you have that one? Did you have that set up already?
What?
Adam Gase joke? That was
no, that was off. That was I just thought of that as we were talking about.
It's so accurate, yeah.
But he really is.
He's the coach the Dolphins got rid of, and the team that hired him. We've outscored. I'm gonna say we, the Miami Dolphins, have outscored them 44-3. This year, so eat my whole ass.
The team itself is just so horribly coached. They're so horribly coached, and there's only one other team that I think is really kind of mismanaged like that. The Chargers. I have no idea.
Oh, that clock management.
What they were doing at the end of the game. You make a Hail Mary throw, you don't even clock it. You get up and run the ball, and like I just. Some of the stuff that was going on there, like I wouldn't even feel bad if
not even from the 1 or anything. It was like from the 3.
It was, and then you run a QB sneak with 4 seconds left in the game. I just
they had a low likelihood of winning to begin with, but like at least like
they down by. If you don't mind
they were down 2 scores. They wouldn't need that touchdown and an onside kick.
The Bills were running that game all they had control of that game.
Josh Allen doing good work for me in fantasy again. Actually, not that much.
Yeah, Justin Herbert has.
Hey, Jamal quiet as shit. Like the Giants aren't fucking leading the NFC East right now. Week 12.
I'm quiet because
it's week 12 and y'all number 1 in the East.
Just when I start getting happy though.
That hamstring though.
It's because he's got Colt McCoy. He's got Colt McCoy.
Colt McCoy handing off to Alfred Morris.
Yeah, imagine that.
What year is this?
Exactly. 2015 all over again.
Yeah, no, but
hammies are like that's one of these things that could be like maybe 2 weeks, or it could be like fucking 5 weeks. Like you don't know. And when Daniel Jones went back in the game and threw that one pass and like pulled up real bad, looking like fucking Sandman on Apollo, I was like, oh, that's not good.
Yo, Jamal, when the Giants win the division, Win?
Okay.
Colt McCoy and Morris should send dick pics to Dan Snyder.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Go run in the middle of the field and do the TO spread on the Washington helmet.
Like together. Yeah, together.
Touching tips.
Alfred Morris.
Unbelievable. Well, there was one other ass whooping that I want to get to in sports this past weekend, and it was courtesy of Triller. God, there's so much to be said, yet so little that I really want to say here.
It's just still funny, man.
Snoop was fantastic. I enjoyed the shit out of it. That was probably the most entertaining boxing event that I've seen in years. And I just feel terrible for Nate Robinson because the way that that YouTube star, his punch hit him and then the face hit the ground.
Yeah,
it was just terrible. But man, we were exchanging memes for about an hour, just going back and
memes were on fire immediately. That was a meme that just wrote itself.
Unbelievable.
Dude, the turnaround time for the internet to react is just incredible. It's like a collective think tank of comedy that just generates this massive output of content. Like, it's ridiculous.
So did anybody used to watch the celebrity boxing on MTV like years ago?
Course, yes.
Remember Sticky Fingers got his ass whooped and we were like, oh shit, like what is the deal? This somehow was 10 times worse than that.
You know what the only fucking episode of Celebrity Deathmatch, is that what you're talking about? Celebrity Deathmatch on MTV.
Celebrity Deathmatch was which one was like the clay? This was like actual like real boxing.
The clay shit.
The clay shit was I think
the clay shit of the early
90s.
The Marv Albert shit.
Boxing.
Yeah, I was trying to say, Pamela Anderson's, tits, like, just go from her arm back to her chest.
Let me not step on tit talk. Yes.
Let's see that again. Let's see that again.
Yeah, the Nate knockout dominated. I don't know anybody who really talked about the actual main fight, the Mike and Roy fight.
Well, the other fights, to be honest with you. I mean,
everything was all about Nate. I didn't order it because my friends gave me shit because they were like, yo, like, come on, we need to be in on the laughs and just drop you $50 so we can. But I don't want to see Mike and Roy fight. I didn't want to see my two fucking uncles with hypertension fighting at the cookout. Like, that shit was equivalent like a Tuesday night fights on USA, the first undercard. It was like, one of them fucking 4-round fights is like two cans fighting each other. I didn't want to see that shit, man. And I just knew that I thought Roy was going to get fucking killed, man. I thought he's going to get like serious, like, because think about it, all of Roy's knockouts.
Mike was
horrific.
Mike was with the shits. He was throwing some shit.
Oh, Mike was crazy leading up to it. I was like, I can't watch this, man. Like, I can't watch this.
But I was looking at it from a different perspective. I thought it was encouraging to see like 250+ dudes with that much stamina to go like 8 rounds of boxing.
Yeah, no, I give you that.
Like, it was only 2-minute rounds though, right?
I mean, I hated seeing the bellies hanging off their fucking shorts and shit. Like, that shit was depressing. I get it.
Yeah.
But to be able to, like, for Roy to be able to take those hits,
he said, "Let's do it again."
Yeah, and Mike.
Roy said he wants to fight again.
No,
Mike. I know Mike want to fight again.
Yeah. See, I'm
Mike was funny afterwards. He was like, "Why you only care about him? He only been out the game 3 years. I've been out the game 15 years." That had me geeking.
Yeah. See, I lean more towards Jamal with I remember Tyson when Neil was in diapers, and I just that's the Mike Tyson that I want to remember. I don't even want to remember James Buster Douglas Tyson.
You think this tarnishes it?
It's not how I want to see him fight.
It's unnecessary.
Bro.
Yeah.
The last time he hit somebody that I really wanted to see it was when he hit Zach Galifianakis in Hangover. Like that was where that's what my last memory of Mike, besides knocking out Spinks or one of these other guys. Like, I just didn't need to see my crazy uncle at Thanksgiving dinner beating the shit out of another crazy uncle at Thanksgiving dinner. Like, it's just, I don't know.
Like, Mike has been off the rails anyways, though. Like, he's just. There's a lot you can say.
Mike's had a pretty good second act. His podcast is dope. He's got
yes.
He's done fashion collabs. He's done some little stuff here and there that to Joe's point, you don't want your favorites in any sport to be back, tampering with shit and just like really fucking things up. I think Roy didn't Roy go to become a Russian citizen just to keep fighting because he wouldn't get licensed and sanctioned in the U.S.
Yeah,
no, that. I didn't
so you talking about like fucking shit up? Like I didn't want that for Mike, and that's why I didn't bother ordering it.
I even read somewhere that the California State Commission was worried that an actual fight was going to break out. That was literally the premise of the article that I read. The California Commission was worried that it would actually turn into a real fight, at which point they were going to be concerned about their licenses. And I was just like,
ridiculous. Yeah.
That's kind of what you worry about with Mike. And there was one shot of Mike where he, after Roy kind of snuck him, the Mike bit into his glove, and I was like, oh shit. Like it was like the urge was there for him to like pick out, but it was a tamed down version of Mike Tyson. I'm just not sure.
Fight was better than I expected.
Really?
Me personally.
How many rounds was it?
8. I want to say it's 8.
Oh, okay.
8 2-minute rounds.
8 rounds. Yeah, 2-minute rounds.
I had been following this for a while, and I follow a lot of like Tyson's podcasts, and I know he's been talking about coming back and fighting. And Roy Jones, anytime Roy Jones has some crazy itch to fight, like I saw this roundtable last year where it was 5 like middleweights, like famous middleweights, talking about their legacies, and the one white dude was like, "Oh, Roy, I never got to fight you. I would have beat you." And Roy was like, "Oh, really?" He's like, "All right, let's fight." And they had like a handshake agreement to fight later that year. I was like, "What the fuck's going on?"
Yeah.
So, the fight exceeded expectations for me personally. I know one of our listeners, Justin, sent us a mailbag question asking, how we thought it was going to go. We weren't able to get to it, unfortunately, because we didn't record last week. But it came out differently than I expected. I thought Mike Tyson was going to gas out in 2 or 3 rounds. That's always been, for me, that's been his legacy. He's been a front runner. He's rarely can win a decision fight. Yeah. So I think for him, I think it was good for him in the sense, I think he looked good compared to the fights he had before he retired.
Okay.
But because his gas tank looked good, he looked pretty good for his age. He lasted the whole 8 rounds. He won a decision. Well, he should have won a decision. That draw was bullshit.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what did you think about the draw?
Yeah, I was rooting against him, but there's no way not one chance he lost that fight.
What was Roy's line? I don't do draws. I wear them.
Yeah, exactly. But Roy, you could see it was written on it. 3rd, 4th round, it was written on Roy's face. Like, I don't feel good.
Yeah, he just
But he still held up. I thought the same thing. Yeah. I thought he was going to be done by the 4th round, or very soon after. But I
think he was done to an extent. It just wasn't
something. Yeah, but something kept him up. Because like you, I thought right around the 4th or 5th round that he was gonna, if anything, just gas out. At one point, he felt like. At one point, he just seemed like he didn't want to be there.
Well, his version of gassing out to me was he wasn't throwing any legitimate punches. His punches were all arm punches, like a pity pat. There's no power being put into it. I don't think he had. That was the lack of his gas. He couldn't put any into his punches. He was essentially in survival mode, clinching, all sorts of stuff. So, here's the thing. This has got to end now, though. I mean. I read an article today, George Foreman talking about Mike Tyson could have a chance to fight some of the heavyweight. Like,
man, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Nah.
I don't think he could have beat some of them 15 years ago when he was on the tail end of his prime. I mean, it's got to stop unless it's gonna be he's gonna fight. I don't think he should even fight Jake Paul. Like,
okay, so let's end the boxing portion with this. We'll go around like we did with the pie segment here. Jake Paul. Nate Robinson had no business getting in the ring with Jake Paul. First off, that's going to be my opinion there. There's no reason why there was a discrepancy in weight. I saw some of the sparring matches that Jake Paul went through leading up to this. He was beating the fuck out of his sparring partners. Okay,
just been boxing for a while. He's
right.
Professional boxers.
And there was a lot of athletes who came out and said, "Look, man, some of these guys just need to stop thinking because they're world class athletes in one sport that they
boxing
can go box."
It does not work like that. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So,
not worth
having said that. Let's go around and let's talk about one athlete that you would like to see take on Jake Paul and knock him the fuck out. Because Evander Kane from I'm not sure which team, a hockey player.
Hockey.
Big brawler. He wouldn't be my hockey choice. I'd like to see Tom Wilson.
Tom Wilson, baby.
Knock out Jake Paul. But do you guys have somebody in mind, an athlete that you'd like to see getting in the ring with Jake Paul? If it was going to be an NBA athlete for me, I would have liked to see Ron Artest get in there, but before he was world peace.
Yeah.
Let's Shaq.
I've thought about it. Aqib Talib comes to mind a lot, just because he's just one of those, just kind of, just he's got that kind of dog in him. We've seen him obviously go at Michael Crabtree a few times.
You got to say Andre Johnson then.
I'm just saying,
a football player.
You put DK Metcalf in the ring with him.
Andre Johnson was a sleeper. He was that silent motherfucker.
Yeah.
Just
ask Cortland Finnegan
poking that motherfucker. Just no one's expecting that, but not sure who else.
Aqib Talib. Interesting.
Are you writing this down?
No. Do I have a pen? I just have
like a pencil scratching on paper and shit. Like, oh, Keep Talib. Okay.
No, I'm gonna send it in. I'm gonna send it in for a recommendation to Legends Boxing.
Yeah.
Make sure
file it under Dark Horse candidates though, for sure.
I mean, I just, this whole Legends thing, like, I just don't want to relive Refrigerator Perry versus Manute Bol. Like, I'm just not trying to.
Manute Bol.
I'm not trying to relive those days. But I mean, if they want to do interesting fights, I don't know, just balance it out a little bit. Let's not have Nate Robinson get in the ring again.
Don't put an old head boxer in it. I don't want to fucking see Riddick Bowe's ass up there.
Yes, right. Lennox Lewis. How old is Lennox Lewis now at this point? Like 50 or something. Anyways, so there's nobody out, no other NBA players that you'd like to see go up against these guys? I just
Matt Barnes and shit.
It goes against like there's people I would like to see, but like if somebody was to box him, it would have to be somebody who has a weight advantage. Boxing is such a complex sport. Like, you can't train for 4 or 5 months and expect to go in there and beat a guy who's been training for years. It's just not going to happen. Like,
right.
It just doesn't work that way. It doesn't matter who you are. I mean, Aqib Talib actually had me thinking about Steve Smith. I don't know why, because you have to put someone in there who's like 220, 225. I don't know how big this hockey player is, but
Evander Kane's pretty big. He's 6 foot something.
Antoine Walker. Put Antoine Walker in the ring.
Antoine Walker. That's a random pull.
He called out Conor McGregor, so let's see if that happens.
Well, I guess that means that's our plea to the NBA. Don't step in the boxing ring. Just leave the boxing to boxers or hockey fighters or somebody else or mad football players. I'd like to see Jake Paul knock out Albert Hainsworth. That would be fun to watch.
Before he fleeced the Washington football team.
Well, let's close open gym. NBA is starting up. As a matter of fact, I think training camps opened. And I just want to touch base real quick because there was a lot of stuff that's happened in the NBA since the last time. I think the last time we even talked about the NBA, with the exception, I don't know if you guys did in the last couple of episodes, but there's been a lot of movement. Gordon Hayward's in Charlotte, Dwight Howard's in Philly, Rondo's in Atlanta, Steven Adams is in New Orleans. Oklahoma City has draft picks playing for them. They've also got draft picks all the way to 2030. And the Wizards they had a Wizards off season. It's just not much to really kind of get excited about unless you include John Wall returning as something exciting. So having said all that, go ahead, guys, have at it. Let's talk some NBA for a couple minutes.
Yeah. So in a very unfortunate Wizards move, obviously there's, leaks that come out of probably Houston or Russell Westbrook's camp that says, there's been trade discussions about a Westbrook-Wall trade. Obviously, Wall doesn't take that very kindly. And then it's reported, he wants out. So, Wizards definitely, they try to play firefighter and put some of these flames out. We'll see. He'll show up to camp, and he definitely has a big chip on his shoulder. But right now, he's not really tradable because nobody's seen him for the past 2 years. But if things don't go well early into the season, but he's shown that he's healthy, you never know.
I think it's all going to just depend on. Just on how well the Wizards play the first couple weeks.
They can't get off to a slow start.
Once you really see the product on the floor, like chemistry changes, certain relationships might alter one way or the other. You start to see something you hadn't before. So just depending on how the first few weeks go, I think they'll start to revisit kind of what they see the outlook being in terms of Wall.
As a long-suffering Wizards fan, I just hate that once again we're in an off season where we are not the desire of anybody, whether they're free agents or a trade, target. We know historically Washington does not get free agents. Our last free agent signing really was, if you want to call Paul Pierce on his short deal, was the last player that wanted to come here and actually play with this team. We have 2 young stars, albeit one has been, out of the team for a little while. We're in a major market. and I hate not being a player during off season. I hate it. I hate, for some reason I should feel better about Wall coming back and our, Denny being drafted and Bertans being re-signed, which is frankly our big free agent signing right there. But when you look at other pieces that come into the team and the fact that we are kind of plugging the gaps with guys on two-way contracts, there's some kind of new type of contract I've never even heard of before. We have two guys on some, these guys that have played in fucking Spain and went undrafted and played and averaged 7 points in Portugal. I don't give a fuck, man. Like I do, but I don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just
I don't think the Wizards have a lot of
toward another season of mediocrity, another
when did
44-win ceiling.
When did the soccer contract jargon make its way into the NBA? Like I'm
you feel me? Yeah.
I've never heard of something like we've got the Powerade two-way time.
Yeah, he's on a
player
on a diamond contract or some shit like that. I was like, what?
So last I remember, the Wizards are pretty cash strapped to a certain degree.
Absolutely.
I mean, you've got Wall and Beal alone.
The Ernie Grunfeld special.
Just under $100 million alone, just that duo, right?
John's
you've
at
got
40
several
million.
players on, and you've got several players
30.
on the contract. You got several cheap contracts. You still got a Banga's contract. You finally got Mahimi off the books, right? So right now, in terms of cash, the Wizards, what are we looking at in terms of being able to spend right now in free agency if they were able to?
They have nothing without.
I understand that. I understand that.
Right? They have nothing. Yeah.
I'm sorry, man, but like I get what you're saying, but I feel like it's always something, and other teams always manage to do things.
I know.
But
here,
it's
Daryl Morey had the Rockets in discussions, and he made moves every year.
Right.
I don't understand. Is it philosophy from the ownership down, or is it just?
No, it's because nobody wants to wear Wizards on their chest. That's a fact. You have to overpay everybody to come here.
But you have to be realistic, right? You have to be realistic in the sense that we have Tommy Shepard, who it's only his second year on the job. He's inherited something, right? He's inherited what was left behind, right? The remnants.
He's only had this job
tenure.
for 16 months.
Exactly, right. So right now when he's dealing with things that are out of his control, such as Wall and Beal's contracts, right? And you've inherited something like that, you've got to wait for it to play out, right? He's trying to move what he can around those two to free up some cash, to acquire some players, this and that. But to your point, Jamal, why would a free agent want to come to DC right now when they know all the fucking back noise that's going on, right?
Yeah.
On top of the uncertainty of the future of the team.
This is my emotional response.
Coaching, right.
The last time I remember being excited about a Wizards offseason was the year that frankly, the year we overpaid for Jan because we missed on Al Horford. That's the last time we had money to spend.
Yeah, money to spend,
You see, there was so much player movement as soon as free agency started this year.
Yeah.
Big names moving, and you just see day by day our team getting further separated from the pack. Now, granted, the league's going to be top heavy. I mean, Jersey is what it is.
We're this close to a rebuild. I mean, we're two trade rumors away from John Wall not being in fucking DC anymore.
But I've gone through my moments too where I was like, well, just fucking blow it up, man. Like,
blow it up.
I was a fan of tanking a few years ago.
Yeah.
But it's frustrating. I'm looking at even the Southeast now, and I think we'll be behind. We might be behind Atlanta this year. Because Atlanta has people coming there that are interested in what they're building, and there's no gauge on. There's no interest in Washington whatsoever, and that's just
at the end of the day, I think what's important is just we've seen and we've wished for Wall and Beal to finally get it together on the floor at the same time and start winning games. Yeah. You don't want to miss out on that opportunity. Still, I really wish it will work out. It would work out. I hope it does.
I hope it's not the Jay Electronica album where we waited on this shit for years and years and years, and it finally came out.
So the Wall Hive is pretty strong.
Yeah.
Do you particularly see yourself in that group, or do you care for anything that John Wall so much for what John Wall has done for the team, for the city, that you'd rather have it work out than not?
I'd rather have it work out, but at this point, my expectations are very different. I'm not married to Wall staying here.
Okay.
I think history is against him now. It's stacked against him, his age and his injury history. And, I want things to work out, but I'm also realistic in that I know, these are not. I mean, I'd like to think a strong backcourt could take us deep, but we're missing.
I just miss
so
those
many
days
other
where
things.
the two used to boast about being the fucking best backcourt in the league.
Yeah.
People hated on it, but Wizards fans knew, like, if you saw them play together, if you let them, grow,
I think we knew it wasn't true. Like, you could make the argument. You could.
It was just fun having them being elevated to that level,
bring
right? Yeah.
all their attributes and say, well, this guy can't do this, and John plays, defense, or he does whatever it is, right? I think just like Jamal, like when you get to the point Jamal's at, it's like he said, it's an emotional response, right? Like, we've seen this movie before.
I get it. I get that too. Yeah,
like,
I totally get it.
Tell me the ending's gonna be fucking different. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen this. I know whatever, right? So even me, who's always said, blow this up. Like, we waited this long. I would like to see it.
Yeah.
And I would like for an organization, right, to have the foresight to see something like John Wall and Beal succeed to an extent, but then also know in the middle ground, like, you know what, we built up his trade value, or we built up this player's trade value, and although we did well, there's something else we can do. With the Wizards, it's always like rebuilding, or oh my God, we had an average season. Let's ride this thing out for 5 years.
This purgatory of 40 wins is it's so maddening, man.
But like the fan base, and I'm not shit on the fan base. I'm just saying, like, the fans, we have to like reprogram ourselves to like also not be the people to be like, oh man, but they won 42 games, and next year if we do this, and then we can go to the 8th seed. Like,
we're loyal to a fan base of basketball in DC that really doesn't even exist, to be honest with you.
Exactly.
So I don't know. I'm trying to hang in there.
He looks the part this offseason. I mean, if there was an offseason where John's gonna get you excited, I like shredded abs John Wall more than I like did he eat too much turkey John Wall. That is
Rose bar John Wall.
That to me
John Wall.
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
I think we're all slightly intrigued by Wall coming back, Beal being the best he's ever been. We got a new guy coming in who has a diverse skill set, and we got a shooter, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we can
so right. So let's instead of shitting on them, let's try to take away a positive here, Ed, before we walk away from the NBA segment here.
They have a chance.
John has never had anybody like Bertans.
Ooh, that's true.
John has never had anybody over 6'5" that could shoot from, to use Miles Rawls' jargon, anywhere in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere in the gym.
Listen, we know he can shoot, but hey, this guy off the pick and pop, we've seen Bertans get to the rim too.
Yeah.
And with John Wall feeding him off the pick and roll, he was able to do it with Ish Smith and with whoever else.
They will be entertaining as hell. They will average potentially over 120 points a game.
Yeah. No, look, they're gonna be better. I was, before the show started, I was like kind of counting in my head where they might be seated, and I'm thinking about the teams that they're clearly not going to be as good as, but they can kind of sneak up based on something or another. So the positives are they should absolutely be in the playoffs next season.
Not a lot of people think that, though, for what it's
worth. Yeah. I mean, I'd be shocked if they don't get at least a 7 seed. I don't think they're bad. They're going to be better.
Assuming they don't have a disastrous start and hit the red button.
That's a concern, because we've seen that so much with Washington. But I think they'll be better. I'm looking forward to seeing how Thomas Bryant kind of sharpens up his game a little bit. When Tommy Shepard was interviewed,
he's lost some weight.
Yeah, well, Tommy Shepard was interviewed by Zach Lowe. He
motherfucking brolic now.
Not so subtly took some shots at Thomas Bryant's defensive skills, but he also said, what we didn't do is we didn't play good perimeter defense, so we left Thomas on an island to kind of protect the rim, but people just blowing by him getting into the paint. So look, by default, perimeter defense should be better with John.
It was so bad last year.
It was horrible last year.
It was so bad.
You got to remember, they started the season with Isaiah Thomas.
No, I know, but it was just, and that was it. That was the culprit. But yeah, they got to get
one of the best things that I've read over the summer and leading up to the start of the season about Wall, as far as like his game, the comparison that somebody made, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Zach Lowe, it might have been somebody else. But if Wall can kind of, this second chapter, do more Jason Kidd type shit, instead of trying to be a 20+ point scorer.
Yeah.
And the thing about playmaking is you can't teach a playmaker, right? John is a playmaker. John makes the people around him better. And if he kind of embraces that Jason Kiddish second phase type attitude, you're talking about, Beal could easily be back up close to 30 points a game. John could be averaging up in the 12, 13s as far as assists go, just by accident with having somebody like Bertans out there. I that's kind of what my hope is for him. We just hope that he embraces that and doesn't really kind of overdo it and push and try to be this dynamic scorer who needs to come in and prove that he's back and 27 points a game and 8 assists. That's not where we need John to be. We need John to be more in that 18, 19 with 11, 12, 13, and occasional 16, 17 assist game. That's where I think the Wizards, they succeed and go farther than what most people are giving them credit for.
A lot of players don't use that, like you said, everyone has to rush back into trying to play up to their mystique, right? Right. I saw Jimmy Butler this year, who is a bona fide star, and he had this thing where he just, you know what, I'm going to feed my guys, I'm going to guard the best player on their team, I'm going to play hard, and when it's time to score, I'm going to score, right? Kind of like Isaiah Thomas, like Jordan kind of mentality. So I think John does need to take that on. He needs to play hard defense, pass the ball, bring that intensity, you know what I mean? Let everything kind of come into
John needs to hit up GP again, Gary Payton. Remember a couple of summers ago?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
he was supposed to work out with him. That kind of fell through, but
and of course his son
hit up GP,
was
John.
on the team.
We sound like a bunch of like 5 dudes who shared the same girlfriend like 3 years ago when she left us.
Stay away from Rose Bar and Darna. Those two things as well, and then we'll be good. All right, let's wrap up this final portion here. I'm going to put everybody on the spot because the season is going to start. I need bets up front. I'm going to start with our resident Scoops Dalal. How many wins do the Wizards get to in 2020, 2021? Go.
So remember, 72 games, not 82. So take off a few wins right there.
Yep.
I'll still be the optimist and say they'll have 36 wins.
36 wins. Abdullah.
As good as I want them to be, I don't think they'll be as good. I'm going to go with 24 wins.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
You're saying 24 and 48?
Out of 72.
Damn.
You think they're a 1 and 2 team?
That's yeah. I don't know, man.
Wow.
Something's gonna go wrong.
Okay, that's it. He's locked in. Let's make sure we document these numbers.
Oh, I'm the pessimist now? I'm the pessimist.
Well, we haven't gotten to Zane yet.
Jamal?
Jamal, go.
Jamal have to hang it up.
I'm slightly worse than Neil. I'm saying 34.
Okay. 34. Zane?
Yeah.
34 is my number also.
That just seems realistic.
So slightly under 500 team.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the eternal optimist. I'm gonna say 38 wins.
All right.
38 wins. That's where I go. That's where I stand. All right. So moving from must not see TV into must see TV, we got to get to our resident entertainment guru, and we're going to switch gears into theater. The Undoing miniseries. Jamal, you love your HBO.
I do, man.
And I love Nicole Kidman. And so let's hear about The Undoing. Sell it to me.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, we'll throw that out there first. Yeah, spoiler alert.
Oh,
so
shit.
fast forward a little bit if you haven't watched The Undoing yet, or if you're binging it right now. But
why the fuck was that a spoiler? Fuck. Never mind.
Well, we must have got some hate mail or some shit.
No,
it's just a considerate thing to do. Yeah, it's just a considerate thing.
Of course.
Okay.
I know some people who started it on over the weekend because the finale was coming out.
Over here.
I didn't know if like Nicole Kidman popped out of the fucking bushes and was like, "Hey, I'm in this."
Check this timestamps in the episode description and just hop ahead.
Give these motherfuckers the Nobel Prize here.
Yeah.
Hugh Grant in this thing too. Mickey Blue Eyes, huh? All right.
Hugh Grant, man. So Hugh Grant. So the theme of this is Occam's Razor throughout the whole series. And it's only 4 episodes, so you can easily binge this. Hugh Grant played Nicole Kidman's husband. He was a kind of a pediatric like cancer oncologist. Yeah. So throughout the whole series, he had been under suspicion. He'd been, arrested for. He was on trial for the murder of basically his mistress. And the writing in the series did a great job of putting in some other potential suspects for it. Namely, there was the Nicole Kidman's dad, who was kind of very irate at, Hugh Grant's character. There was the son, kind of got worked in as a very kind of, middling suspect for a minute. But ultimately, the truth came out in the end. And what Nicole Kidman, she's a licensed, mental health, she's a psychiatrist. We end up kind of settling on Hugh Grant's character being a narcissist. And everything he did was kind of centered around bringing him back into the forefront, salvaging him as a person. So despite the fact that he had fucked up his whole family, he still wanted Nicole Kidman. He wanted to be intimate with her. He wanted her close by. He wanted her support. He had fucked up his relationship with his son, but he, in the last minutes, even though his son overheard him basically accusing him of killing the woman, he wanted to kind of rebuild this relationship with his son. When this is all over, we're going to take a road trip. We're going to do this and that. But the truth came out, and the big surprise that came out at the end of episode 3 and fed into the finale, was the discovery of this basically like a sledgehammer that was a murder weapon that was found in the son's instrument case that ended up being stashed at the family's beach house before. So once that came out, it was very difficult, obviously, to defend Hugh Grant. And at the end, when he was due to they put Nicole Kidman at Grace on trial on the stand, and there was some kind of backdoor question stuff with another counsel, but basically that kind of stepped on him being this kind of innocent, pure being, so to say. So in the last act of the finale, he basically took his son and essentially kidnapped him. When kind of AWOL, didn't show up at court, took his son up to like the Canadian border, just drove off because he had known at this point he was caught, like it was all over. And Nicole Kidman and her rich dad basically had a helicopter chase along with police up to the port where they got to this bridge. And it looked like at one point, Hugh Grant was going to jump, and the son was, screaming like, "Dad, don't do this." Just he wanted to be honest, like just kind of turn yourself in, like I know you killed her. Nicole Kidman pops up in this very dramatic scene, and she runs across the bridge, and she's running toward both of them. And for a glimmer there, it looked like Hugh Grant expected his wife to come running back into his arms. So he ended up not jumping off the bridge. She scoops up her son, and Hugh Grant's character gets arrested. So basically, again, we had kind of thought for a second it could be other people. I forgot to mention that the deceased woman's husband was looking like a strong suspect for a minute, but again, he wasn't involved. So I thought the way they wrapped it up was good because it kind of kept you guessing up until the last minute. So good finale. I think most people liked it. I saw a couple people that didn't really dig it, but the show did lose me a little bit between the end of episode 2 and into episode 3. There was a part where Hugh Grant, who actually fathered a child by the deceased woman, showed up at the guy's apartment and held the baby, which I thought was completely unrealistic. I thought it was like a dream sequence. It's so fucking corny. So the writing got a little weak. It sagged a little bit, but I think it ended up wrapping up well. So again, good short series. Again, quick binge, hour-long episodes, 4 episodes. So it was pretty cool. I liked it.
Can you do bedtime story audio? I'm gonna start replaying this shit for my daughter now. Yeah.
ASMR channel. Don't do that. Moshi Jamal.
I had to squeeze that in, bro.
So my thoughts on this, and this has been swirling around in my head today because forums afterwards, and everybody hated the ending. Right?
Really?
Everybody hated the ending. And it went back into this not theory I have, but what I've kind of learned by watching TV and film is like, in a show like this where there's a murder and blah blah blah, people want to be psyched out. Like they care more about, oh my god, who is it? Oh my god, that's this person. Oh my, like, and they go and they do this fucking research and shit. But like, if you're watching the show tells you the whole time that it's Hugh Grant. Right?
Yeah.
There's no, I mean, like you said, they do try to put red herrings out there and say, and they have to do that, right? Because there has to be some sort of like, oh my god, it's not him, right?
Right.
But for me, it's like you said it perfectly when you said Occam's razor, right? The easy answer is the answer, right? And that's what Occam's razor is, like the path of least resistance. it was Hugh Grant. All the evidence pointed to him, but the theme of the show is like it's confirmation bias, and they mentioned in the show, right? Where all this mounting evidence is pointing to this character doing it, and we have the main character Grace, who is the wife, and just like in anything we argue about, right? Confirmation bias. We have our mind made up, and we get this information that goes against our opinion, and we shovel it out. We have information that comes in that supports our opinion, and we take it in, right? So I thought they did that brilliantly. I thought it was a great character study on narcissism and sociopathy, which essentially I loved Hugh Grant's performance because you never really see him play this kind of character where he's like, in those scenes in the fucking car where he's like telling his kid to shut the fuck up and like you see the wheels turning. And the scene, and it was brilliant. It was like when he's on the ledge. So if anybody hasn't seen this, like he's on the ledge, and it's fucked up now for you, but he's on the ledge, and like Jamal described, he's about to jump. He's about to kill himself. And he sees his wife calling his name, showing him love in some sort of way, how he perceives it, and he smiles. Yeah. And he immediately jumps down.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because a narcissist is a person who always needs to be loved, who always needs to be in control. Right. So this character who's had control his whole life. He's a pediatric. Psychologist. He's loved by everybody. He's the healer. He's the saver. You know what I mean? Now what happens is he ends up killing his mistress because he's losing grip and control, right? And you see those wheels turning. You see him break in that moment.
She scared the fuck out of him. She was like, "Oh, I think we'll hit it off." Yeah, she was encroaching really closely into his personal life. Yeah, he couldn't take it.
And it got to the point where he's like, "She's gonna fuck everything up." Yeah. And he snapped, right? Yeah. And it's funny because I just started this now. I was watching Memories of Murder, right? It's a movie. It's from the director of Parasite. I just finally watched it.
Oh, you just watched Parasite?
Just fucking watched it.
I still need to.
It's fucking brilliant. It's so good. It's so good.
I just watched this other movie, Memories of Murder. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a detective murder mystery, also fantastic fucking film. But one of the themes of the film is like, they're trying to find someone. I'm not going to spoil it, but basically the concept is like, we've gotten to the point where it could be anybody that could be this person that could do these heinous things, right? And it's the same concept for me in Undoing, where a person like that can just fucking snap. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like somebody walking amongst us, someone who you think is a regular who you this whole time. Yeah. So long story short, it's like my frustration was like, people don't take a show for what it is. They want it to be what they want it to become. You know what I mean? Like everybody, like if it was anybody else who they revealed did it, I would have been fucking pissed. Right? Because I would have been like, you haven't shown me this the whole time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
I was bracing for it to be the husband.
And I was glad it was.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense otherwise.
Right.
So someone who hasn't watched it, but now I'm actually very intrigued by this. I think of Hugh Grant, I think of romantic comedies, right? Because it's like the only thing that he seems to ever kind of be in. And you go back to, 2 Weeks Notice, Love Actually, Bridget Jones' Diary, Notting Hill, Mickey Blue, like just go down the list. And so you're saying that this performance is very much a kind of a different take for him, and you're saying that he killed it.
I thought he killed it.
Yeah, he did a really good job. I saw he was on Fresh Air. I need to listen to the interview. He starts off as a very lovable type of romantic character feeling kind of person. But the way he devolves over the series of the episodes is pretty interesting to watch. Yeah, it's he unravels very quickly.
Peeling layers off this facade.
Yeah.
And this is a little deep, but it's like if any of you have ever met a narcissist or a sociopath or somebody in your life who acts like this, like when you watch that performance, to be like, you know what I mean? It's very spot on.
Yeah,
I've seen that before. So it was funny. The one thought I had is probably like, in this scenario, like Hugh Grant is like Trump and Nicole Kidman is like Trump supporters.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh man.
But yeah. No.
So speaking of Nicole Kidman, I got to be honest with you, the last performance that I can actually picture Nicole Kidman doing is Eyes Wide Shut.
How convenient.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, I really, like, I struggle to name more. Like, I know she was in Moulin Rouge. I know she was in Batman Forever. I know she was in Panic Room 2, right?
Panic Room 2?
No, not Panic Room 2, but Panic Room.
No,
2,
that was
right?
Jodie Foster.
No, it's Jodie Foster.
I wish it was Nicole Kidman.
See, bro, I'm telling you, and she was in Bewitched. She was in Bewitched. I know that. But like, I just, I don't know. Does she still have it?
Yeah. Her character was, I mean, and Zane, you could jump in here. It's fairly one gear, but she acts her ass off when it comes to these reactions to learning about somebody she thought she knew during their entire marriage and the time they've known each other, and the way she takes these blows of like finding out the truth about her husband, the fact that he lied about his career, the fact that he, is a murderer, he's had a terrible childhood, like all this shit, like having her have to kind of absorb that and still try to keep it together, try to go into these courtrooms, talk to her father and all. Their dad hates the motherfucker, like all her reactions to that, absorbing that and still trying to be, kind of stay afloat. It's kind of like Skylar in Breaking Bad. I mean, she takes a lot on and she still has to try to hold it together, especially for her son. I think she killed it. People talk a lot about, you'll see if you Google the show, you see a lot of people talking about her facial expressions too. Like her reactions to shit is just always like hella interesting.
I always felt bad for Skylar. Did anybody else always feel?
I never hated her, man. I never hated her. I was like, she's been dealt a shitty hand.
Everyone hates her. I never
hated her either.
If you see how the world crumbled around Skylar from the very beginning, from learning about her husband having cancer, to what it accumulated to, like, how the fuck could you blame her?
Yeah,
and she did so much more.
Same deal with Nicole Kidman's character on.
I see. Okay,
that's same shit with Sopranos. They hate Tony Soprano's wife. And
yeah,
like
she dealt with so much.
Poor
it's a Hillary Clinton, man. It's
poor Carmella.
It's like, oh, he cheated on you, you fuck 100 other girls, and he murdered your sister. Like, so what? Stop being so bitchy.
Yeah, this is unrealistic. Come on now.
I hate that bitch.
I know. And then when she cheated with Silvio, it was just 10 times worse, right? Didn't they? The hate got just so much worse.
Well, when Skylar fucked Ted, it was like that fucking whore, right?
That's right. So basically, okay, so I'm stuck in 1990s. Nicole Kidman is basically. So hopefully, I can jump forward 20 years and get on base here. But this actually sounds like something my wife might enjoy as well. So
yeah, it's solid.
We'll try to peep this one out, gentlemen. We're running up here close to the end, which means it's time for our candidate for detention. True kitchen cocktails. First of all, my only thing here is, and I'm gonna defer this.
Neil, please don't get up and twerk.
I'm just gonna say,
we know how you get, Neil.
What did you expect from a fucking place that spells cocktails with a K?
Yo.
I mean, let's just, all right. How about it, guys? This is our detention. We're gonna wrap up the show with this segment here. Go for it.
So real quick, this is a spot in Dallas. It's a restaurant that went viral a few days ago. Somebody sitting at a restaurant table. First of all, I knew this shit was in the South because it was a fucking packed restaurant. Like, let's get that out of the way. Like, no social distancing, no table space. Motherfuckers was sitting in there like it was 2018, right? And the guy, I guess he's the owner of the place, somebody starts recording him going on a rant in front of these tables, and he's telling women, don't fucking twerk in my restaurant. He said, I built this space. I wanted to be a nice restaurant. I want something different, a little departure. Yes, we have some dope music on, and this is pop and whatever, but whatever you do, don't twerk in my shit. And he said, if you want to do that, he named a couple other spots. Go to, I think he said like Peaches or Pink or something like that, which I assume are like a little looser spots, maybe lounges or something. He said, if you're going to do that, he said, get the fuck out of my restaurant. And I was like, damn, So long story short, people are sharing the video on Twitter, and the reactions are almost down the middle. Some are saying, I get what he's saying. He wants to have a different type of restaurant. He doesn't want to have a certain element to it. Other people are like, how you gonna throw on, some fucking trap music and serve drinks and expect people not to twerk, not to get up and enjoy themselves? And
I thought he said something specifically about Black culture. He didn't.
He did.
He just told it. Okay.
Well, he said nice place for like.
Yeah. Because that's what a lot of people were riled up about was, this what do they call it? Something politics. Respectability politics.
Yeah. He's trying to create basically he wants everything except the entertainment element. He wants it a nice sit down type of vibe, no trap brunch, which is a thing, that's a popular thing. But so after there was a flood of stuff, people, giving inside accounts of the restaurant, people taking pictures inside. I saw a picture of fucking like a life-size Obama mural, and he's holding a fucking bottle of Ace of Spades. Like, well, come on, bro, what do you expect? And
shit. Okay.
Yeah. Other people saying that the service was shitty that day. Like it took them an hour and a half just to get their appetizers, and then the appetizers went to the wrong table. So you see this flood of stuff coming in.
So tell me that up until this point, I thought it was up until I saw the logo right now. Yeah, I thought this was a True Food. Like the one joint out in Merrifield. So this whole time I'm thinking some chick got on a table at True Food Kitchen.
Shit. This is some
and started twerking the shit. And I understood. I'm like, shit. Yeah. Why would you do that at a True Food, right?
Where do I stand? I hate the ride the fence, but I kind of see it both ways, man. Like, I'll say this though, twerking.
She got on the window though. She had her hands on the window though.
I didn't. So you didn't see who the fuck was twerking. Whoever did it was like, I guess seated by the time he came back around. But it takes some effort to get up and twerk from a booth or a table. Like you got to put your fucking food down, and you got to, you know what I mean? It ain't like I'm bobbing my head to some shit. Like, oh, this is my shit right here. Like it takes effort to get up and twerk. So. I'd be surprised if people just generally stood up in the middle of restaurants and twerk, unless the drinks were hitting that well. I get what the guy's saying, man.
Retweet.
Inevitably, he's going to lose some business. Right. I heard businesses in Dallas that are, similar types of spots are like, come fuck with us. Like, you can twerk all you want at our spot. Like, that shit is cool over here. So he went viral in the wrong way. Well, I think it may hurt his business. It may not. People probably go there just to be curious about what the vibe is like. But I kind of see what he's saying also. Yeah, I kind of get what he's saying.
Twitter had a blast with this shit. People were just posting up, putting up pictures of people twerking, talking about, this is us in the waiting room at Olive Garden and some shit.
Yeah. I made a meme about it. I ain't gonna lie, I made a meme about it. It's a good.
Shout out to twerking Twitter.
Yeah. It's a good cultural topic to kind of unpack.
What is the deal with twerking?
and on that note, we'll go ahead and wrap up with that. This is a twerk positive podcast here. You're allowed to twerk while you listen to this shit.
TPP.
I'm about to get a bumper sticker, man. Put it on a bumper sticker, man.
Guys, I'm thrilled that I got to share another hour and a half with you guys again. I'm glad to be back.
Welcome back.
This was fun. Let's do it again next week. Let's do it again next week. I'm Joe, Abdullah, Zane, Neil, Jamal. We're the Participation Trophy Podcast. Make sure you subscribe, like, listen, tell your friends, cousins, aunts, uncles. Don't let your kids listen to this because their minds will be spoiled, rotten. Have a great week. We'll see you guys all next week.
Peace.